Good afternoon and welcome to today's Tego Cyber Webcast as part of the Planet MicroCap Showcase. It is now my pleasure to turn the floor over to your host, Shannon Wilkinson of Tego Cyber. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Matthew. As Matthew mentioned, my name is Shannon Wilkinson. I am the CEO of Tego Cyber Inc. Tego actually means Latin for to shield, cover, and protect. We are headquartered in Las Vegas, Nevada, actually located in Las Vegas, not just headquartered here, but our mission at Tego Cyber is delivering state-of-the-art threat intelligence through our platform that uses a proprietary process of collecting and enriching data to help enterprises identify threats within their environments. Our founding team has identified a gap within the threat intelligence market of platforms that meet the needs of today's enterprises. And through our experience, as well as our reputations within the industry, we've decided to capitalize on that within the threat intelligence market. We have developed a threat intelligence application which integrates into other top-end security platforms. Using those platforms, we are gathering, analyzing, and then helping enterprises proactively identify threats within their networks. I will talk quite a bit in detail about our platform a little bit later, but first I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the challenges that we face within the cybersecurity industry. And I think it really boils down to a couple of main points. One is the growing threats that enterprises face. Two is the complexity of threats that enterprises are facing. And then third would be the increasing frequency that enterprises are being hit with threats every single day. If you pay attention to cybersecurity and what's going on in the news, you'll see that the amount of threats that enterprises are facing these days are growing at an exponential rate, especially through the explosion of ransomware, as well as phishing emails compromising enterprises, and of course the Internet of Things, all those smart connected devices within the enterprises. All of those are increasing the digital risk to enterprises. But one thing that companies are realizing is that what used to be considered perhaps just a technical problem has turned into a significant business risk due to the reliance of technologies of today's enterprises and the fact that a single cybersecurity incident, such as ransomware attack, can take operations in an enterprise down for days. We find that on average, a computer that is connected to the internet is attacked every 39 seconds. That means if your computer in the enterprise is connected to the internet, which most are, you're going to face approximately 2,200 attacks per day on average of that computer. Another interesting thing that we've seen through the pandemic is that cybercrime against enterprises particularly has increased at a rate of 300% since the pandemic began. There also has been a direct correlation found between the price of stock within a public company and their share price following the disclosure of a data breach or a cybersecurity incident. One interesting thing to note is it's actually been found that Wall Street investors have become a little more forgiving towards enterprises that have had breaches, but there still is a direct correlation between the stock price and cybersecurity incidents and the drop in the stock price of a public company should an incident occur. And that's one of the reasons why more and more companies are spending and investing in cybersecurity these days. Another interesting note, due to the complexity and the frequency of attacks, on average, enterprises take approximately 206 days to identify threat actors within their environments. That means for almost 1 year, cyber criminals could be running rampant within an enterprise environment, stealing data, conducting reconnaissance, gathering more information for further cyber attacks. There actually, just a couple weeks ago, was some news that came out that said enterprises are able to identify threat actors within their environments much more quickly, not necessarily because their protections are better, but because cyber criminals are spending less time within enterprise environments before launching their attacks. Before they would spend on average about 2 months within an environment. Now they're spending approximately 24 days before launching attacks within the environment. And it's no surprise the number of data breaches that have continued to come, they're getting bigger and bigger. The number of records in each data breach seems to be climbing, so that it's estimated that approximately 146 billion records are going to be breached and compromised over the next 5 years. As I mentioned, global cybersecurity spending organizations are realizing that they need to invest in cybersecurity protections for their enterprise. So we've seen an upward trend in global cybersecurity spending since 2012. It is expected, of course, to continue the upward trajectory to reach 270 billion by 2026, where organizations are just spending more and more money on cybersecurity protections because of that business risk, because a cyber attack can greatly impact not just the IT operations of the organization, but all the operations of the organization. In today's cyber attacks, we see organizations losing access to telephone and email during ransomware attacks. Some good examples recently of those are Molson Coors having their production halted for about 2 weeks due to a ransomware attack. Garmin losing the ability to provide customer service and support for more than 1 week following a ransomware attack. So we'll just continue to see, I believe, continued investment within the cybersecurity industry and in products within the industry. Within the cybersecurity industry itself, Tego rests within what is known as the threat intelligence market, which is really an emerging market within the cybersecurity industry. It's currently estimated to be worth about $5.1 billion and is expected to grow at a rate of about 20% through 2026. The threat intelligence market is also one of the fastest growing market segments within cybersecurity. In fact, it's growing at twice the rate of the general overall cybersecurity market. And our product fits perfectly into this market segment through our, basically we have a cloud-based platform delivered as software as a service and is a threat intelligence-based product that will fit perfectly into the cybersecurity segment. At Tego, we do like to make the differentiation between what is known as threat data and threat intelligence. With threat data, you're usually given a single piece of information such as this IP address is bad. Threat intelligence differs in the fact that we'll tell you that this IP address is bad, but then we provide additional context and knowledge that an enterprise needs to make informed decisions about being able to prevent or mitigate a cyber attack associated with that IP address. The threat intelligence platforms are becoming a vital component of cybersecurity strategies and cybersecurity protection, mitigation, and response within our enterprises. As I mentioned, the threat intelligence market is kind of in its infancy within cybersecurity, positioned for significant growth. And there are also few players within the threat intelligence market segment compared to other sectors, say, for instance, antivirus, where there are hundreds of different companies offering their solutions out there. There are few threat intelligence providers out there providing true threat intelligence to organizations. I promised I would talk about our platform, so I'll go now a little bit into the Tego Threat Intelligence Platform and what we're doing. So the Threat Intelligence Platform that Tego has developed is taking in raw threat data from different vetted and curated data sources. What I mean by vetted and curated is that we can trust the information that we're being provided and that we're also going through the information that we're getting from these threat data providers and making sure that we're not telling people that things like Google DNS is bad or AWS is bad simply because a threat actor may have used that service in some component of their attack. So really going through analyzing the information to make sure it's accurate and trusted. Then we use a proprietary process of taking that data, compiling it, analyzing it, deduplicating it because we don't want to send a bunch of duplicate information to our customers. But then we add the additional context that I mentioned that is so key to being able to use threat intelligence within an enterprise by adding the information that an enterprise needs that is timely, informative, relevant, compatible to what their environment, as well as really providing the information that a security operations team needs while working an incident in the fastest way possible without a lot of time and effort spent on their part. Some of the other solutions within the threat intelligence space right now will only identify potential threats. Like I said, surfacing up this IP address is bad. And then the security operations team is forced either to go to outside websites to try to find that additional context that they need, try to figure out how important or how high of a priority that threat is before they're able to take any action. And that means that they're losing time while working an incident, trying to find the information that they need to make an informed decision. Through Tego's Threat Intelligence Platform, all of that critical information is served up within the customer's existing tool, which I'll talk about a little bit about our integration. But what it does really is it increases the return on investment of an organization's existing cybersecurity tool and allows cybersecurity teams to make fast, informed decisions while responding to incidents. Our initial integration of our threat intelligence platform is into the widely known SPLUNK SIEM platform. If you're not familiar with SIEM platforms, basically what they are doing is they are log aggregation and data warehousing for enterprises, if I boil it down into really simple terms. It is basically taking all the information from all the computers, the laptops, the servers, the firewalls, the switches, anything that can feed a log into the data warehouse, the enterprise can collect within their SIEM platform. We're integrating and providing our threat intelligence directly into the SPLUNK platform with our first integration, and we have planned development for approximately 10 other SIEM platforms, market leaders, in the near future. A little bit about SPLUNK, and one of the reasons why we chose them as our first integration partner is that they are the market leader as far as SIEM platforms go. They are also a U.S. company headquartered in California. They have a fairly large market share of 15,000 enterprises and are growing at about 450 clients per quarter. Another nice thing about SPLUNK is much like the iTunes Store or the Google Play Store for your mobile phone, SPLUNK has an app store for their platform where they go and vet applications that are developed for their platform, and then they host those applications for their clients. So say, for instance, you're a SPLUNK client and you're interested in threat intelligence. You can search threat intelligence, and then Tego's app would pop up within the SPLUNK-based app store. You would be able to download our app, install it, and then you would be prompted for a license key that you purchased from Tego Cyber. I did mention there are some competitors. The competitors that we've identified within the market space that are probably closest to our product offering are Recorded Feature and Threat Quotient, and then Anomaly also does have a threat intelligence component to their services. So while I mentioned, it is an emerging market, there are some competitors in there, but some of the ways that Tego is trying to differentiate from those existing platforms that are out there is, again, providing that additional context, giving the information directly within the SIEM platform, not requiring the enterprise to go out to our website to use our platform to get the information that they need, but rather just tying into their existing cybersecurity tools, serving up that information. It's the idea of a single pane of glass for being able to view, but we're not forcing our customers to use our glass necessarily. They've already made a significant investment in SPLUNK or their SIEM tool, so we're just able to serve that information and enhance their existing cybersecurity tools already that they're using. I mentioned a bit of some of the differentiators of Tego Cyber, of course, that we're ingesting from a variety of different search sources, adding the additional context, and then sending that information to SPLUNK. Another area that we're differentiating is in recursive searches. So today we may identify and release information out to clients that we know about an IP address. It is bad, but this IP address has actually been bad and been active, being used by threat actors for the past 3 months. We don't want to tell the client, just search in your enterprise today to see if this is active today. We actually want to do a search back, let's say 3 months in the past, and has this IP address been active in your environment? Could you have been compromised, 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago by this threat actor? And we want to surface up that information for our clients so that they know, now rather than later, that they may have a compromise within their environment. As well, again, basically the Security Operations Center is able to see all the relevant data within their SPLUNK environment when an incident occurs without the need to leave their SPLUNK installation, increases the effectiveness and the return on investment of their investment. And then that additional context of, not just this IP address is bad, but, what additional servers it might be associated with, threat actors, perhaps the company or country location, ISP information, what kind of activity that threat actor is associated with. So really making threat intelligence intelligent so that organizations can make informed decisions and react appropriately when an incident occurs. A bit about the revenue model of how Tego's Threat Intelligence Platform works. I mentioned about purchasing a license. Our license fee is an annual subscription rate of $75,000 per year, and it is per installation. I will caveat that in letting you know that most enterprises will have a single SPLUNK installation that they would purchase a license for. Typically, organizations do not have more than one installation. But as an example, let's say an organization had 3 installations of SPLUNK, they would be required to purchase 3 licenses for their environment. We have tried to make our integration with SPLUNK and our platform as easy as, let's say, plug and play as possible. Should customers need a little bit of extra assistance in installation or maintenance, we will offer limited support services to our customers as well. But we've really tried to make it as simple as possible for our customers to be able to install and use. Our growth strategy, of course, with Tego, I will let you know that Tego is in the process of finishing up development of our platform, expected to go into beta testing soon with a Fortune 300 client. And then our projected growth is we expect to capture part of the SPLUNK customer base. We would like to onboard 100 clients within the next year. Reaching 250 clients in this following year and 500 clients in subsequent years. It requires us to capture a small percentage of the existing SPLUNK customer base, which we should be able to do through existing relationships and partnerships with other companies that work with SPLUNK and SPLUNK itself. A little bit, I guess, the revenue model again, basically just using that existing user base of the SIEM platforms, not having to create our own customer base, but building on top of those platforms to capture the base. I mentioned that we did target quite a few other SIEM for integration in the future. These are just a couple of the companies that we selected to integrate with, market leaders within the SIEM space that we are planning integration with and creating relationships and partnerships with. A little bit about a sales and marketing strategy. Our sales force will be primarily will consist of both direct inside sales teams as well as channel partnership relationships, as well as partnering not only with, let's say, vendors of solutions, but also managed security providers of solutions who will be able to bring Tego into their existing client bases. Of course, the sales strategy, building on the existing customer base of the SIEM integration partners, And we do plan on also focusing on U.S. federal, state, and government entities in the future after our initial launch. Our marketing will really be focused on building the strength of the Tego brand, letting customers know what our offering is, some of the differentiators compared to other platforms, as well as just generating leads for our sales team. I believe there are multiple components to marketing. There's also an educational component to our marketing strategy where we want to let people know we want to collaborate within the cybersecurity industry, not just have marketing as a tool for sales, but kind of a two-pronged approach of education and sales within cybersecurity. With our revenue model and our projected customer numbers, we are expected to have a gross revenue of $7.5 million in the first year and growing from there. One of the nice things about Tego is that we do not have exponential costs in increasing the number of customers on our platform. We have low margins as far as our selling expenses go, as well as, like I mentioned, there's not a high cost in our platform. We've built it to be very scalable without high exponential costs in adding more customers and having to add more hardware. We've built the platform with scale in mind, keeping those things in mind of not having a lot of overhead. Let me just check the time real quick. I know I am running out of time, so I'll try to wrap up very quickly. Tego is a public company. We are traded on the OTCQB as of the spring. We do have plans, are in talks with the Tradegate Exchange as well as Frankfurt for possibly opening on their markets this year, and then the plan possibly to uplift to the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ in the spring of next year. I'm going to stop trying to use my arrow keys to advance the slides. I apologize. Our share structure, we have 50 million authorized shares. Approximately 13 million of those have been issued, mostly issued to friends and family during our initial fundraising round. About 10 million of those shares remain restricted with friends and family and founders. Our float is approximately 3 million shares, and about 700,000 are held at the DTC. We have an active S1 registration at this time at 25 cents. So if you would like more information, of course, I can provide that to you on that. A little bit about our founding and management team. You have, of course, myself, Shannon Wilkinson. I come from a software development and IT background. Got into cybersecurity mainly because my other half, Troy Wilkinson, who is a cybersecurity rock star in his own right, he comes from a law enforcement background, doing IT forensics and investigations in cybersecurity in law enforcement, worked for the U.S. State Department, and now is, as I mentioned, he is now the global operations lead for cybersecurity for IPG. We're joined by Michael De Valera, who is a technologist out of New York with over 25 years of experience within technology and cybersecurity. And we are very pleased last week to announce that Chris White, the deputy CISO of IPG, has joined our board as of last week. Chris is a well-experienced veteran within the cybersecurity industry, a former Air Force officer, and brings just a ton of knowledge and relationships to Tego. So that's a bit about our management team. Advisors for the company, we work with Harborside, who is our auditor. Lockett & Horwitz is our legal counsel for SEC matters, and our transfer agent is Signature Stock Exchange out of Addison, Texas. I'll skip over that because I don't want to go over time, but just some investment highlights about Tego that I hopefully have touched on during this presentation. Of course, is our sustainable and scalable business model that we have built the organization and our platform to be able to scale very quickly. We have exponential growth potential within the threat intelligence market segment, not only because our products are no differentiators, but simply because the space itself is growing at such a rapid rate. We have low debt to equity ratio currently at the company, a low share count. Of course, our management team is amazing. And we have the accelerated path to revenue and profitability. I do see that there may be a couple of questions, so I will leave our contact information up for anybody. And let me go to who would we say are the company's direct competitors? So I did have that slide earlier about the competition, which would be recorded feature as well as threat quotient. Fortunately, due to our relationships within the cybersecurity industry, we've been able to talk to customers of both of those platforms, learn some of the shortcomings of those platforms, and try to fill the gap. And it's really some of the gaps and some of the frustrations with existing platforms within the cybersecurity threat intelligence space that Tego is looking to fill. Really seeing the need for good threat intelligence that's timely, relevant, and that provides the additional context within existing cybersecurity tools that really are the differentiators and why we believe that Tego will be such a great fit within the market and a great fit for customers of SPLUNK. Our current distribution model, do we need inside sales or distributors? Yes, we will have the inside sales team. We are working with some consultants now, very experienced in building startup cybersecurity companies into multi-million-dollar revenue streams. So it will be a combination of inside sales, distributors, and channel partners, as well as those managed security service providers that I mentioned. That will be our distribution. Distribution very easily done through SPLUNK base. The customer will be able to download the app directly, come to us, purchase a license, or come to a partner and get a license key to be able to plug into their platform. And unfortunately, I am out of time, so I will end it there. But if there are questions that I haven't gotten to, I will try to directly respond to them as they are downloaded. And should anybody wish to contact us, you can contact us either at info@tegocyber.com or investor@tegocyber.com. Thank you.